Making your way through work Monday takes everything you got. Then Monday night rolls around and you realize there's a shot. You're only 10 points away. All those times when your team had no fight, they're just so gosh darn frail. Then your star quarterback let another deep ball sail, and your third round pick bet on his team. Then go check out our streets where everybody knows your pain, and they listen to complaints. You wanna be where you can see our bodies bring you no shame. You wanna go where everybody knows your pain.
Welcome back to another episode of Dad Bod Fantasy Squad. I'm here with Robbie. Bobby, what's up?
How we doing, Mario? We're back together.
Yeah, we're back. It's been over a week. It was Monday, I think, was our last episode together.
Yeah.
We had Thanksgiving. Did you eat any good lasagna?
No lasagna this year, surprisingly. It was more traditional Thanksgiving food. We do Christmas is super Italian.
What the hell?
Yeah.
You're full.
We do all
Italian,
these,
right? Full Tommy DeVito? No, half.
Mm-mm.
Is your mom has none. Your dad's full.
Yes, and we were with my mom's side, so it was
I gotcha.
very traditional Thanksgiving. Turkey, ham, corn casserole, all that nonsense.
What's up, Albert? I keep seeing Tommy DeVito on TV in clips, and I go, does that dude look like Robbie? Because I think he does. I think you look like Tommy DeVito a little bit, dude.
Maybe, might be down the line a little bit.
Yeah.
That's funny. This me and my buddies do it all the time. Like, it's just like it's a running joke. It's been a running joke and like around me and my buddies for years. So now that he's doing it, it's like it's hilarious.
I'm having a
the
tough
Italians
time
finally getting some respect in football.
I agree, dude. Hasn't been a quarterback that's done anything since Vinny Testaverde, right? I mean,
because we're all like 5'5".
Yeah.
There's no height.
That's it, dude.
That's what's going on, man. We're lucky if we hit 6 foot.
We're just gamblers.
Yeah,
there's no playing sports for Italians. Dude. We gamble.
We're just in the background, Some baseball players, because you don't need to be tall.
At the track, we can't even make. We're at a bad height that we can't even make the jockey height, right? Like jockeys are like 5 foot. They're tiny.
Well, yeah, we're too tall for that.
Yeah. Dang heritage, dude. I'm still having a tough time getting used to this background. It's too professional.
Is it?
We need it to be more bro-fessional,
Should I just set up a treadmill behind me?
Shut up! You can't even see it. You can only see the corner in a bag. That has an N64 in it right there. Nice. I haven't unpacked it probably for 2 months. Probably from drafts. Yeah. That's embarrassing. All right. Let's play some Immaculate Grid here. Ooh. I already posted that. Ooh. We got a tough one. Baltimore Ravens at the top. Going from left to right. Ravens, Buccaneers, one award. Super Bowl MVP is the award, which is going to be tough for one specifically because you got to remember when you're looking at these columns, they don't necessarily have to win the Super Bowl award on that team, right? Like, so I'll explain here shortly. From top to bottom, we have on the going as the rows, New England Patriots, Rams, Cowboys. Now, obviously, the Cowboys and MVP are the bottom right corner there. And you're like, well, the Cowboys haven't, and this is since 1999. Cowboys haven't even won a Super Bowl since 1999. I'm not an idiot, right? Pretty
think
positive.
you're correct with that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been the 80s, I think. Maybe
Mhm.
early. But there may have been a player that has won the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl MVP that's on their team, and I am struggling to think of it
Yeah.
because I don't like obviously one that. Oh, nice. Albert already gave us one.
Yeah.
Des Bryant for Baltimore.
That was my
And
go-to for that.
nope, he
And
beat
then you
to
got to
it.
play too, like so Patriots, Tampa, obviously Tom Brady, or do you want to save
And then
him for the Super Bowl?
wait, no, because you could go Edelman here. I think won it.
Okay, go for it.
I'm pretty
Or you could do
positive.
Gronk. You could do Tom for him, and you can do Gronk.
Too late.
Okay.
Already went with good old Julian. All right, we'll do Tom Brady here.
19.
Nice.
Interesting.
That is very interesting. And then for this, this is easy peasy. Just happened. Matthew Stafford. I don't think it was Cooper Kupp.
I think it was Cup.
What?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. This is going to be this bottom right, Cowboys and Super Bowl MVP, going to be tough.
Yes.
Yes,
it is.
Right. So I know
we'll get to it.
I think one. Okay, go ahead. But
Baltimore, LA, Odell.
Oh, nice.
I think that's an easy peasy one.
That's it. Thought you were rolling.
It's a good question, Tiff. We were just talking about that. It could be a player that played for the Cowboys but won it with a different team.
It's also since 1999, which is still the case. No, I mean 1999. I don't think I was watching football in 1999, but it was only 7 then.
Yeah. Baltimore
Cowboys.
Pats.
I think the Cowboys have won since we've been alive.
How about Matthew Judon?
No, you didn't. Did you?
He was a beast, dude.
Whew.
Yeah.
I know there's a Bucks Rams one that I'm just really blanking on. I know it's
probably a receiver.
I know it's there.
Cole, no. How about did Cole Beasley play for Cowboys?
He did for a short time, I think, at the start of this.
Try that
for
Tampa.
Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
Was he ever on the Bucks?
I'm pretty sure.
Wow. And the fact that it's 28. Oh, so wait, what was the team he was on this year? It wasn't the Cowboys. He was on a team at the start of this year, and I can't think of who. Maybe it was the Cowboys.
Was it Buffalo?
This is gonna be tough.
Yeah.
He was on the Bills at the start of this year?
I think so, yeah.
Back to the Bills, huh? Bucks and Rams. Bucks and Rams.
I'm struggling on that one.
Gotta think St. Louis Rams. I think it helps when you think St. Louis Rams a little bit here. I'm going to take a shot on one, but I don't think it's going to be right. Oh! I don't think we're going to be able to come up with the Super Bowl MVP. Wait a second. I don't even know if he played on the Cowboys at any point. I think he did at some. I know he was mostly.
Did he win a MVP?
No. I don't know. Okay. I was giving it a shot.
You could try Troy Aikman.
That see what happens. Shouldn't work. It shouldn't work at all. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we'll leave it here.
Right.
We'll come back to it.
Tampa, LA. Why is that? That's pissing me off. I feel like we should know it.
It's gonna be right in front of our face when somebody says
it.
Let's get into some news. We'll pocket this. Somebody will drop a note. News. T. Higgins is back, babies. Only
Let's
problem.
go.
No Joe.
I know.
Yay, T being back with no Joe.
Does this hurt Jamar Chase?
Yeah, to some point it does, right? I mean,
I don't know.
Joe Burrow could sustain both of them. It now becomes, can we expect Jake Browning to sustain? We're hoping he sustains one at every game. Yeah. Which he should. And he looked like he could last week.
Jamar still had what, 12 points?
Yeah. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for the Browns and the rest of that division when this team gets another early draft pick.
Yeah.
That's such crap, which could signal, depends on how bad they close, could signal another wide receiver. Could just kind of recycle, send off T.
Yeah. That's kind of what I'm thinking is going to happen.
But they really need that offensive line fixed bad.
They need the offensive line. I think their defense has holes.
It does. I think if I was a coach, though, I would be like, let's get this off. I mean, you have to fix that offensive line. You have a huge investment behind there.
He keeps getting hit. It's going to get hurt.
Ken Walker is out for tonight. I don't necessarily think, I know we're at week 13 and desperation calls, but I don't think Charbonnet is an automatic plug. Help me remember who Kansas City has got. Green Bay, and then Dak has Seahawks tonight. I actually I believe that this game tonight is going to surprise a lot of people. Now, I'm not saying the Seahawks are going to win, but I think it's going to be a fun game, and I think the Seahawks are going to keep it closer. So I think I stick with Mahomes. And he hasn't been great for fantasy.
I think it's close enough where I stick with Mahomes based on it being a Thursday night game. I've been saying this a lot where Thursday night games can be really weird one way or another. So I try to stick away from Thursday night games if I have a close enough, second option. Just because these two are so close to me, for me, I'm going to go with Mahomes just because it's a Thursday night game. And they scare me. Like, we've seen crazy things on Thursday. Not everybody's healthy coming off a short week, stuff like that. So usually they're lower scoring games.
Flacco trending to start in Cleveland, which is maybe a tick up for the running backs, probably a tick down for Cooper. I am not even sure. I guess it's going to be tough for all of them.
You think?
I don't know.
I think it helps.
Yeah.
For receivers, if anything.
Over DTR.
He's a running quarterback.
Deshaun.
Yeah, right? I'm talking about DTR. Yeah.
Are we out on Eckler? I have Eckler on bench and Brees, Mostert, and Pacheco starting. I think I start Eckler over Brees this week.
So do I.
Which is the funniest. It's the funniest of the three, right? Like, you look at this and you go, Eckler and Brees should be locked in here. You got Pacheco facing a terrible defensive front in Green Bay, although they looked a little bit better last week, but can really expose them there. You have Mostert facing Washington. You just want to plug every Miami Dolphin that you have there. But I think Brees has a tougher matchup, if I remember seeing that. Atlanta. And they're and a terrible quarterback.
For me, it's super close between Brees and Eckler. So I don't. Either way you go, I don't hate
That's your 3-4 too, though, right? That's what you're saying.
Yes. Most of Pacheco's one too.
Yeah.
Crazy times we live in.
I'd rather go Eckler against New England, personally.
I think so too. I think he'll get enough pass work. In a PPR, I think he'll end up with more. Just because Brees hasn't been getting looks, man. It sucks. He hasn't been getting enough pass work to be, consistently viable. He's getting like 10 to 15 points a week.
Yeah.
Even though Eckler hasn't been great, I think the upside's still better for Eckler with his pass game.
I'm going to run through all the practices in one full swoop and let me know what concerns you the most. Tank, A.J. Dillon, A.J. Brown, Breece Hall, Trey McBride, and Amari Cooper all limited. Devontae Smith and DeAndre Swift were full. Keenan Allen showed up as a did not participate in practice today. What's the what are you concerned with in this list?
Obviously Keenan, right? Hopefully it's just like a vet rest day maybe. But it's late in the week for it to be a rest day like that, so it's concerning that happened.
Yeah, tomorrow will give us a clear cut. Like if he's did not participate tomorrow, you should be really panicked. But Tank Dell and Trey McBride both scare me on this week. You look at Tank Dell had this calf issue that came up that he's dealing with, and Trey McBride has this groin issue that he's dealing with. They both concern me. McBride, I think, was once reported today as a did not participate, but then he was seen off on the side doing some drills, so that was good there. And speaking of McBride, we also learned from JJ Watt that Zach Ertz was released this week.
Yes, we did.
Huge for McBride in Dynasty, potentially damaging for a team that claims him. If you have, I don't know, say you have Likely or teams like I'm trying to think, like, does Philly claim him? You have Goddard. Like, where
I was thinking Philly.
He could go somewhere and really kind of hurt some tight end value, and it seems like it wouldn't, but it will.
Yeah.
Do you guys think?
Yeah.
My bad. Do you guys think Olave plays this week? And it's hard to say. Concussion. We've seen one or two players make it back the week after. Luke Musgrave was a Thursday night game, and I think Alexander Madison was the other one, and I think he was a Monday night, Sunday to then Monday night, if I'm not mistaken. It may have been Sunday night, though. I think Madison's the closest we've seen to somebody coming back the week after, I think. And so based on that, I do not think Olave plays. It's going to be a stretch.
I hope he does. Yeah, I hope he does. But yeah, I don't know. It's not looking good.
Anything to say on Ertz release before we get into our studs and duds of the week?
No, I think you hit it. It's great for McBride for Dynasty, even though we saw the writing on the wall, right? Like he was taking the reins. Ertz, if anything, this helps him in some capacity if he goes to a team that needs a receiving tight end. So we'll see where he lands. I'm with you. I think he's going to end up in Philly for the playoffs. It just makes sense to go there and like help that team out. What do we got here?
Really racking my brain on this one. Brandon Cooks or Curtis Samuel at wide receiver. It's PPR. This is tough.
Curtis for me.
Pretty easy?
Pretty easy for me. He's in my plays this week. We'll get to it later. But yeah, Curtis, I think he's going to be a very good play this week against Miami. I could kind of hit it now, but he's so we're going to have Ramsey on T-Mac. I think that's a lockdown situation. They're going to have to throw the ball 45, 50 times like they usually do anyways, and now they're going up against a high-powered offense in Miami, so they're going to have to throw the ball a lot. And I think that a lot of it's going to go to Curtis Samuel. He put up a really nice game last week. He finally looks back to being 100%. They're going to be using a ton of 3 wide receiver sets again, just because I anticipate them being down a ton. Curtis Samuel is going to be in there. And when he's on the field and healthy, he's produced this season. So I think he's going to be a solid play. Brandon Cooks has been spotty at best. So it's a very, I think Curtis Samuel is the safest play and probably has the higher upside.
I think it's well put. I think Curtis Samuel is just somebody who I've completely ignored all season, and I feel like I maybe made a mistake doing so. With that being said, let's get into some studs of the week since you already kicked it off with your wide receiver. Keep talking studs, but let's go to the QB position.
Sure, Mario. Let's do it. T-Law is one of my plays this week. He's been on a tear as of late. I think QB3 2 weeks ago, QB1.
This is your guy.
finally, after I dropped him in a bunch of leagues, he decides to turn on for the playoff push. So he's going up against Cincy's defense, who's given up 260 yards in each of the last 3 weeks against not great competition. They gave up 280 to Pickett last week, which we know how bad he is. The offense is.
Is he?
I think so. Personally,
is he?
I think he's not great. So gave up 280 to Pickett.
Verdict's out.
I think T-Law is a lot better. I'm anticipating a pretty good game from T-Law this week. And then I'm going to go with Kyler Murray against Pitt. So Pitt secondary has been suspect all season.
Been better with Joey Porter named the starter.
They've been better as of the past month or so, but they've played Will Levis, DTR, Browning. The best quarterback they've played is Jordan Love, which the verdict's still kind of, we'll see what's going on with him. He looks better as of late, I'll give you that, but they haven't played any competition in the past month or so. So let's see what Kyler can do. Kyler looks like the Kyler of old, so I think he's going to put up against Pittsburgh secondary.
Does he? I have so many questions. Last week was not a great outing for him.
It was not. It wasn't. But I think he's good enough.
We've only got 2 weeks of Kyler, right? Or 3?
Yeah,
Is this
3.
3. We've had 3. Fantasy-wise, he has looked of Kyler as old because mostly has 17, 22, and then 20. Passing-wise, last 2 weeks, a little less.
I get it, but I'm still in. I'm still riding with Kyler. And again, even if the passing's not there, the legs make up for it. So
last week ran only once, which is odd.
And a tutty.
Was it one? No, it wasn't. It was 1 for 1. No, he's got 3 straight rushing touchdowns in 3 weeks.
It's just what he does, man. It's just what he does. So the legs give him a really nice base floor, and I think that he's going to expose the secondary. So even if he doesn't, have 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, it's going to be fine.
Do you know what I am? Do you see this? Do you know what I am?
Slithering? I don't know.
Because it's a big tuna 2 a week.
Jesus
Christ. That was terrible. It's a 2 a week. So terrible. Enjoy it. It was terrible. It's 2 a week, though. QBs versus Washington.
It is.
2 going against Washington. They average 26 fantasy points per game. In the last 3, they have given up 24, 22, 32 to these 3 quarterbacks. Geno, Tommy DeVito, and Dak. Dak was the high scored with 32. Going against Washington is a perfect matchup for fantasy because, they typically can score to stay in the game. The Cowboys game, I think it was Thanksgiving, that game got out of hand very late. But so the most part, you're going to have your fantasy players kept in the game, and they're going to keep producing. It's been one of the best matchups for fantasy this week. And weak defense, pretty decent offense, keeps everybody going against them in the game and can rack up some points. I have 2 deeper league ones.
Go on.
Kenny Pickett, baby. Kenny Pickett.
Okay. I don't hate it. I'll say that. I don't hate it because the matchup's right.
The matchup's great. Kenny Pickett facing Arizona. Yeah. The other one it's again deep. Bryce Young facing Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's secondary has been rough. Look, we got a new coach, got a lot of new coaches, a lot of new things going on. I get it.
You'd have to have deep. Some stones.
This is over the I'm super desperate, or I need a super flex, or I am looking for a DFS kind of low ownership. You get a new coach in there, not saying that it's going to be a perfect situation. It could just be the same exact. But you also going against a Tampa Bay defense that their secondary has really struggled over the past few weeks. Really has struggled. They've been low guys. These 2 have been low guys on the totem pole. But guess what? Both of them got new coaches. And last week, whether you liked it or not, we saw a Kenny Pickett that looked way better. I don't know who he's got to be Najee Harris. And Najee has a nice matchup. And DK has a horrendous matchup. So it's going to feel gross. Oh, it's going to feel so gross to say Najee here. It might be Najee. Seattle's got the Cowboys tonight. They have a guy that is playing out of his mind in Darren Bland.
Yeah.
He's been playing out of his mind.
Dude, I think
Najee looked fine last week.
Najee's the right play.
Doesn't
but
feel right.
If I was making the decision between DK and Najee Harris, I'm playing DK. That's how I put it. Like, Najee's the right play, but I don't love it.
Listen to Najee over the last few weeks, and
I get it. I understand, but
I go Najee, and I hate it, and I hate myself for it. QB duds. I'll rack off my QB duds real quick, and then we'll come to you, Rob. I'm going to take two duds that are facing each other. CJ Stroud versus Russell Wilson. I'm worried about both of them this week, and it seems weird, right? These guys have kind of been, both have been the hottest QBs, not necessarily tearing it up, but they have taken their teams to different places that we haven't seen. I think Broncos are on 5 straight, and CJ Stroud has led the Texans to 6-5, I think it is. So, but this matchup is pretty tough because on the flip side, both these defenses has really turned up. Both the Texans and the Broncos defense have really looked insanely better, especially the Broncos throughout the year. Texans kind of the whole season, but really over the last few weeks. I think this game ends up being a little bit of a low score snooze fest, and this is a lot of fantasy in here, and it kind of has the potential to burn everyone, especially if you look at like how available is Tank Dell going to be on this week, and you start thinking that's CJ Stroud's go-to sort of receiver right now. Not that Nico Collins isn't, and not that Nico Collins is slumming, but Tank Dell, there's that comfort blanket. There's that big shot ability. I just think this is going to be a low-scoring game, and I'm kind of freaked out for both Stroud and Russell.
Yeah, CJ was on my list as well. I didn't put him on just because it's hard to sit him, but I get it. I understand that. He
did pick Harris, and then he brought back a question about what about DK or Marquise Brown? I think I go DK then. So even if Robbie and I don't agree with DK or Najee, I think we both agree with DK and Najee over Marquise. Hollywood's been kind of MIA, no?
He had a nice game last week. I think 6 for 88. Didn't find the end zone, but it was a really good showing. I think I lean Marquise Brown.
Oh. So you're DK and Hollywood over Najee.
Well, again, I'll say Najee's the right play over DK.
Okay.
And I'm leaning Marquise over DK.
I'd probably go
tough
DK
matchup again Thursday night. I think Thursday night games are tough, man. We expect Sunday production. So we expect a normal game. I don't think Thursday night games are normal games. I think anything can happen. I think they're typically low-scoring games, not a lot of offense. And I think Marquise Brown and Kyler Kyler's my QB play this week. So I'm in on Marquise. I'm in on Trey McBride as long as he's healthy. So, and again, Trey McBride's banged up right now. So it's only going to benefit Marquise Brown.
Start Charbonnet, Singletary, or Ford PPR.
Singletary for me.
It probably is Singletary. Ford worries me this week. I have him, not to get too ahead, but I have him on our duds list. So it's probably Singletary for me. It's anybody. Watch Charbonnet go off. It's probably Singletary or Ford.
I can't.
Charbonnet's not even in consideration.
I don't think Charb's a consideration. Tua.
I think it's Tua this week. Brock has a great matchup as well. He's gonna put up pretty solid numbers. That game should be amazing to watch. San Fran.
Yeah, I think they're both. I think they're both gonna have good games, but I think Tua can put up a monster game.
I do too, as long as it's not too monstrous and that team is just blown out. Because Miami would be cautious with Tua, but I don't think it gets to a blowout because that Washington offense is not bad. Let me hear some of your QB duds. No problem, Max. We got you.
My QB duds for this week: Jared Goff up against the Saints. Tough matchup. I'm anticipating more of a kind of grinded out with Monty game. I think Amon's going to be fine, but I'm kind of hesitant to play quarterback. And I mean, Laporta, I'm not expecting a ton from, but I think you have to play him. So Jared Goff is one of them. And then your boy, Jordan Love, Kansas City. I know he's been hot as of late, but Kansas City's defense has been clamps this season. They've been really good, really underrated. I'm not expecting a good game from Jordan Love.
So let's kind of transition that into this question: half PPR, Brandon Cook or Jaden Reed? I don't necessarily have Jordan Love on my duds list because I was close to, actually, though. I was close. But I still think it's Jaden Reed here.
So
and
do I.
I think if Jordan Love is going to succeed against this defense, it's through Jaden Reed and potentially Romeo Doubs. I think Christian Watson's going to have a tough day. This Kansas City defense has been pretty locked down to wide receiver ones for the season. So Jaden Reed and Doubs are the guys that I would look to potentially.
And they're getting creative. They're getting creative with them, trying to get him the ball in different ways. I think Reed's the guy.
One there.
Yeah.
The guy in the locker room. Let's hear some running back studs on the week.
Yeah, Raheem Mostert. I'm going to go back to that Miami game. Raheem Mostert versus Washington. Even if a chain plays, I think Mostert's should be an RB1 this week. Washington's defense has been terrible, especially after they traded away most of their defense and got rid of all their coaching staff. So I'm expecting a really nice day from Mostert. And then I'm going to go to that Arizona game. We talked about Najee. I'm going with the other guy back there, Jaylen Warren. I think he's a really good play this week. We've talked about how bad Arizona's defense is at total and how bad their rushing defense has been. We know what Kyron, Singletary, Bijan has done in the last 3 weeks against this defense. Jaylen, to me, is the more explosive and better back of the two. And I think he's going to find some holes and have some big plays this week.
Early signs of looking like a little Austin Eckler, honestly.
Yeah. It's a good comparison.
I love that play. I think what we're noticing, and we're going to keep noticing, is there's a lot of funneled sort of studs and duds this week. I think there's a couple games you target and a couple games that I'm afraid to go near. We've talked about this game quite a bit, the Seahawks and Cowboys coming up in less than an hour. I actually think this is a huge Tony Pollard game. He's starting to turn up. Right?
Yes, he is.
And I know people who have him are probably starting him, but I just want to hype him up a little bit more. This defense has allowed 35 plus to RBs in the past 3 or 4 weeks. And on top of that, let me just talk who these RBs are, because it's okay. Let's just talk about it. Brian Robinson and Gibson combined for 40 plus. Gus and Keaton Mitchell combined for 38. CMC and Mitchell combined for 35, with CMC, I think, having 31 of the 35. And honestly, the running back one in all 3 of those guys finished in the top 12 in each of these 3 games. So It's not like Brian Robinson I think he had 28 points. Gus had, I think, 21 points. I mean, These guys, they're just getting exposed through the running back position. And I really am excited to see what Tony Pollard can do. I do think this game is going to be odd, and if it flips too bad, then it gets a little scary. But I think Tony Pollard has a massive game if the Cowboys game plan this right. The second guy that I'm excited for, and this is going to be kind of a low-key, quiet one game that we haven't even mentioned yet, is Ramondre Stevenson versus the Chargers. Look, you have 2 quarterbacks that don't seem to be able to throw the ball. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Malik Cunningham at the QB position this weekend. The Chargers defense is so bad that they could control this game. I don't even know if Bill wants to win anymore. It's just so odd. So this is a little bit risky. I know
it doesn't look like they're coaching to win.
So it's a little risky, but I have to think that they're just going to run the ball. Like, just give Ramondre the ball. And even if he doesn't get the ball a ton of times, 20 times, 15 times, I think they're going to dump the ball off a ton to him. Bailey Zappi will. I think Malik Cunningham, if he gets in there, I don't know if Mac Jones even sees the field this week. So I think it's a big week.
It's the only time that offense moves. It's when they dump it to Ramondre. Like,
Zeke
the only
hasn't
time
looked
they
that
get
bad either.
No, it's just
considerable.
That's where he is really, really like a difference maker, is when they give him the ball in space on dump offs, stuff like that. And the only time this season where they move the ball down the field is when or score points in a game is when he's getting 6 to 7 targets, sometimes even more than that. But that's when this offense is actually moving the ball, is when they're dumping it off to Ramondre. And I don't understand why they don't do it more. Doesn't make any sense to me. But you would think with the quarterback issues and stuff like that, I'm with you, Mario. I think they're going to try to get Mondre involved a little bit more than they have been.
Yeah, and it goes back to your point, because like in years past, we've seen Bill kind of do these sort of changes, right? Where if my quarterback can't throw the ball, screw it, I'll just run the ball 40 times a game. And it's just as weird that it hasn't quite happened.
This is a good one.
I go Brian Robinson personally. Pretty easily for me.
I mean, he's on my sits.
You pick what you want to pick. I go Brian Robinson here.
He's on my sits. But I still think you play Robin. I still think you play Brian Robinson with Matt. I mean, Sharbs, he's been okay. I think he's averaging like
fine
10
for
points.
Fantasy. He honestly has been
He's been fine, but he's got 49ers defense who's been going insane lately.
He's got Dallas defense tonight.
No, I'm sorry, Dallas.
Yeah, which is also, I mean, it's the same. Yeah, it's the exact same.
They've been destroying the running back position. So between these two, I think you have to just plug in Brian Robinson and hope he finds the end zone and gets some dump off passes, because we've seen it. Sharbs, again, like all you're hoping for is 10 points out of him. Robinson can get you more.
Well, lead into that. So we need to talk some RB duds. Talk about your RB duds, including Brian Robinson. You said you have him on your sit list.
I do. So I'll start with Robinson up against Miami. I think this Dolphins defense, since Ramsey's come back, has been one of the better units as a whole in the league. They're really doing some things that I'm encouraged by, and the defensive line's been playing way better. And again, I'm assuming Miami's offense is going to get up early on Washington, causing Washington to have to throw the ball a lot more. Brian Robinson isn't going to be that guy. It's going to be Antonio Gibson, who will slide into that receiving role. And I think Antonio Gibson's going to be on the field probably the majority of the second half, and leaving Brian Robinson kind of being, limited in work this week, which is why I was questioning myself with Brian Robinson versus Charbonnet just because of that. But I still think Robinson's the one to play in that matchup.
A little bit of softer defense, yeah. Who else do you have as your RB duds?
The real back going up against the 49ers, Swift. Last 3 weeks, running backs are averaging maybe 40 yards, if that, per game. So, man, once they traded for Chase, I think that defensive unit is very scary, and running's nearly impossible against this defense.
It's never Antonio Gibson. He's been waiting for Gibson season forever. Need one: Metcalf, Rice, or Cooks. I am so going to be biased when I answer this.
I know where you're going.
Look, I think Metcalf has a tough matchup. I think Cook's matchup is fine. I go Rashi. I think they're starting to unlock something there. I'm really encouraged. Now, I don't
Jair
know.
Still out or what?
That's what I was just about to check. Let me see.
Pull that up.
He's questionable, able to manage a limited practice on Wednesday. So that was yesterday.
That's tough. I think if Jair's out, I think I lean Metcalf. Or I'm sorry, if Jair's in, I think I lean Metcalf, but I think I'm playing Rice.
I'd go Rashi
right now.
I think it's crazy because
crazy to say that
Metcalf just has a tough matchup, but he hasn't had an amazing year. He's wide receiver 34 on the year.
Yeah,
he's missed a week, so I don't know what he is in points per games exactly.
I think he's had one. I think he's had one big week, right?
Maybe two. He has had in the past.
How many weeks, over 20 points?
20.40 at that. 94 in a touchdown.
That was what, 2 weeks ago?
Rams. Yeah. Need one full PPR, Devin Singletary or Lockett. Oh man, we're just over here talking crap about Metcalf. Do I really want to Lockett? I think I go Singletary too.
Yeah, I think
Singletary's looked good.
Looks great.
It's tough. Yeah, I'd go Singletary too. We did see his work really slack last week. He was very involved in the pass game,
which was encouraging.
Go against
it makes me like him more moving forward.
I go Singletary as well. Don't feel great about it. RB duds. My RB duds. Javonte Williams versus Houston.
Ooh.
You know I love my Javonte Williams, but man, this Houston defense.
So you're really out this week.
I'm just really worried about this game. Singletary is one of the few that I feel like has potential, but I mean, what they did to ETN last week has me worried just in general, right? I mean, this was a game where ETN couldn't get anything going, and I know he got hurt, and it shows on the stat line. He's 20 for 56, and he had 4 for 30, but I would say I didn't see where this big run came from, but he was 12 for 10 at one point, or 12 for 11. It was real bad. It was real tough. Javonte's not as explosive as ETN, so even having that, he's going to have to churn 4 yards a carry, 3.5 yards a carry to get to that amount. He can't just break off one big one. Javonte worries me this week. He would have to fall in the end zone to save his day. The second person I have is Jerome Ford versus this versus this LA Rams front. They're going to want the Browns to throw the ball. Like, that's absolutely what's going to happen, what McVay is going to plan. They're going to want Cleveland to throw the ball with Flacco, DTR, PJ Walker, whoever the hell it is. It's going to slim up these holes. This defensive front on the line has already been tough. It's already been tough to run against the Rams. Here's where Jerome Ford can save his week. If it is Flacco, we have seen Flacco target the RB quite a bit in his most recent years. So if Flacco does start, I could see Jerome Ford doing his work through the air, through receiving. I would like to know if Flacco is going to start, because I think that does change us for me a little bit. But yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if Flacco's in, if the running back position gets a ton of dump offs like the Jets did.
Did it a ton.
Yeah, it was a crazy clip.
Michael Carter seemed relevant for the first 3 weeks. It was really interesting.
Getting like 8 targets a week.
So I'm going to jump us to wide receiver studs here. Ayuk, Debo, AJ Brown. Love all of them, right? They look great. They're going against each other. Ayuk and Debo should be fine. AJ Brown, I think, has a big week this week. But we're starting them. Even Debo, I think you're pretty much like, I got to start him. So let's get a little deeper. I think a huge week for George Pickens is coming against this Arizona defense, which is a horrendous secondary. I think Kenny Pickett is, I don't want to say he's good, but I think he's better than we've seen over the last year and a half.
Because of one game.
I'm excited. I'm encouraged. And that's terrible because I'm a Browns fan, but I'm encouraged.
I don't think he's good. Maybe it is because I'm a Browns fan. I think he sucks, but
he looked fine last week.
One game, yeah.
Let's get a little deeper, Rob. You want to get a little deeper? You want to get a DFS play or maybe a grab from the waiver, because they will be out there. They will be out there in your waivers right now, mostly. Let's get a little deeper. A.T. Perry, your boy.
Let's go.
He's wide receiver 1 this week. If Olave's out, he's wide receiver 1. And he has shown flashes of you talk about the A.T. Perry is exactly what you were hoping and expecting Jonathan Mingo to be. From the little tiny baby sample size that we got in some of his targets, A.T. Perry might have a big week this week.
Dude's a beast.
He goes against Detroit. He's looking like he'll be the wide receiver 1. This Detroit secondary has been very sus over the past couple of weeks. A.T. Perry might be like a great play. And there's certain questions. There's certain questions that I think that we could get I would be like, I'd rather play A.T. Perry. I saw it earlier. I think it was like Brandon Cooks. I'd probably play A.T. Perry. Javonte or Ford in the flex.
I'm saying that because they're both your duds.
Yeah, I know he is. I think I would go Ford because I expect him to get a lot of passing work. I'm trying to hide it, but there we go. Yeah, so love A.T. Perry on the week if you're deep, if you need. I just picked him up in a league, and I think I may start him. I don't know. It would be bold.
It's a bold.
Let me hear some of your studs.
We talked about both my guys. Curtis Samuel against Miami. You know why I like Hollywood. Him. And then Hollywood Brown, baby, against Pitt. I think they're both going to have really nice days. So
well, tell me who you don't like then.
Who I don't like, opposite of Curtis Samuel, I'm going T-Mac. Going to be shadowed by Jalen Ramsey. I think it's going to be clamps on him. So I'm not expecting too much out of that. And then
real quick,
I got to keep
Anthony McQueen over here. He posts Eagles, and that's all it says. And then you can see his picture where it's just him and his family full of Eagles jerseys.
I love it.
Love it, dude.
Let's go. And then I'm going to keep an eye on the injury report. So this is kind of keep an eye on it. And even if Denzel Ward is out, I still think Cooper Kupp is a very hard play against the Cleveland Browns this week. We've seen his they do this thing and with the Rams, especially they did a lot with Cooper Kupp where they would gimmick plays for him 20 to 30%. Like they'd be scripted plays for Cooper Kupp. That's dropped significantly to like 5 to 10%. And Puka's getting around the 15 to 20% mark. So they're really shifting this offense towards Puka instead of Cooper Kupp. Cooper hasn't looked good the past couple of weeks. I don't know if he looks healthy. I can't tell really what's going on or why they're doing what they're doing. But Cooper scares me. So I think he's a very tough play this week against the Browns.
It's interesting. We've seen a lot of Cooper. Miss you, dude. We'll have to get together soon, man. I know he's in I think you're still in Columbus area. I don't know if I should put that out there. Anyways, we're seeing a lot of slander on
doxing people.
I mean, Columbus is a big place. It's a big place. So sorry, Aunt, if you I'm in Columbus too, so dox myself. We'll have to get together. Anyways, I don't know. The Cooper slander seems a little too real. I don't think that you're doing anything wrong by saying bench him against or be cautious against the Cleveland defense that has been playing pretty lights out.
The one thing, I just think it's a tough matchup in general, and then add on him just not being involved as much as he once was in this Rams offense. And again, I don't know if he's fully healthy or really what's going on, but he just doesn't look like the Cooper Kupp of old. Stafford's not targeting him nearly as much as he once was. I think there's a lot going on there. So it's a tough play. I'm sitting him in one of my main leagues this week, which hurts to say.
Yeah. That's tough. That's a tough, bold move. I traded for him, I traded him out for Debo early this year. And at first I was like, I made such a mistake when he first came back. Yeah. And lately
first game, he lit it up.
Yeah. Lately I've been feeling a little bit better about that.
Let me see. I'm pulling up who I'm sitting him for.
George
Well,
Pickens.
It's going to be interesting because I have Amon, Devonta Smith, and Tank Dell.
Well, let me tell you about one of my duds. Tank Dell.
Yeah.
Ben a monster. Ben unreal. We talked about him last night. We said
he's playing A.T. Perry over Tank Dell.
I don't know if I could get that bold. His wide receiver 11 rank in Dynasty is valid. I think it's perfectly earned. I think he's been that good. He looks that connected with CJ Stroud. Once again, though, I'm very weirded out by this game. I think it's going to be a weird snooze fest. I get it. It's not typical for these guys. It's not like we've seen Russell throw for many times over 200, honestly. So, but to see this game, I think these defenses are just both playing so well. Tank Dell is dealing with a calf issue, which brings a whole nother thing. I think you have other options to explore if you're a Tank Dell owner in redraft, because I mean, you probably pulled him off the waiver wire. So you should have some other options that you should consider that aren't A.T. Perry, right? You have Cooper Kupp to consider. I think I stick with Cooper Kupp, but Tank Dell worries me this week. Christian Watson is another guy. He goes against Kansas City's defense. I talked about it earlier. I think it was when we were talking about Jordan Love. I'm just really worried about the wide receiver one that plays against this Kansas City defense. It's been guys on the outside that they've been locking up. Tough defense. Those are my duds on the week. I want to talk I want to transition this because we've been talking about A.T. Perry so much, but I think there's some tight end studs that people need to be aware of if they're not already. I don't know how popular of a pickup this was this week. Juwan Johnson. Is this the game we've been promised? Are we finally going to see it?
The prince that was promised.
I think this offense, we're going against Detroit, right? Which I just said their secondary has been a little sus. Their defense in general has. Their line's been fine. They've been good against the run. But they're going to have to stay in this game, and they're still trying to fight for this division. So they're going to have to throw the ball. Detroit is a high-scoring offense. They're always going to put up points nowadays, which feels weird to say. So same reasons as Perry. I think the New Orleans Saints are going to have a very funneled offense this week. We're going to see Kamara get quite a bit of targets. We're going to see Juwan Johnson get some targets. We're going to see A.T. Perry. And again, this is all with the assumption that Chris Olave is out, because I think if Olave is in, I would feel a little bit nervous about starting Perry or Juwan Johnson. Obviously, he's still rolling with Kamara. Other stud that I like this week, who's also on my shit list, David Njoku versus the Rams, especially if it's Flacco. Njoku has struggled with catching the ball recently, and from like the top of my head, I think it's about 75, 80 drops over the past 2 weeks. Somewhere around there, right?
Yeah.
Maybe 40 a game.
Sense.
No, he's had about 8 drops, maybe 6 drops over the past 2 weeks. So that's been burnt, but I'm excited for him this week, right? I mean, he get back on track against a defense that doesn't cover the middle of the field well. They have been my favorite play for tight ends going against this Rams defense. So I like Njoku. He honestly, when he does catch the ball, he is making a play and he is looking good. Yeah. Let me hear some of your tight end studs.
And to piggyback on what you're saying, even though he's had those drops, he's still produced really nice weeks. So he is producing for fantasy as of the last month or so. He's been putting up some really nice games. So I'm with you. I think that's a good play.
Can I pause you real quick? A.T. Perry is going to have an Odell-esque close to the season. I think this is crazy, but I was really expecting to receive a text from this guy like, yes, dude, or in our Discord, with our league, this dude was over here hyping up A.T. Perry. But now it comes to a point, we co-manage team. I just picked him up, Brian. Should we start him? Let's flex him. We're never on the same page. We might as well do it now. All right, go ahead, Robbie.
Interesting. I'm going with Muth. I think this is another big Muth game against Arizona. I said this last two nights or Monday when I was on with Norton, or Tuesday when I was on with Norton.
You got it, dude. You'll figure out what day it is.
I got this. Yeah. So Tuesday when I was on with Norton, I was talking about this, where there was an interesting stat I saw where Muth had a really nice game last week because of how the defense played. They played a lot of 2 high safety sets. That's where Pittsburgh exposed with Freiermuth. Arizona runs the second most in the league of 2 high safety sets. So they're going to try to expose that again and go for Freiermuth as much as they can. I think he was targeted 11 times last week, and it was mostly because of how the defense played them as a whole. So I'm going to go with Muth again. I think he has a nice game. And then if we're looking for like a really deep play, I like Chig against Indy. I think he's been playing better as of late. Will Levis is obviously a better quarterback than Ryan Tannehill, and I think he can support Chig. And I think Chig's just a good player. I think he's starting to get into his own zone here, and I think this could be another really nice game up against Indy.
I think obviously that's a real deep one with Chig. It's been tough. It's been tough. Will Levis is, I think hasn't been great, but hasn't been bad. I
think he's better than Tannehill.
Yeah. I love the Muth call because I mean we're just hyping up this Steelers offense more. I hate myself right now as a Browns fan. I hate myself, but as fantasy, we're just hyping up this Steelers offense a little more. I have a lot of players on bye. Only option is Metcalf or Olave for my flex. Which one? Tyler, I think out of safety, look, Olave is the better matchup. But this could end up burning you, especially if you don't want to drop somebody on Sunday morning. If you have an option to drop somebody Sunday morning, then I go Olave. If you don't have an option to drop somebody Sunday morning, then I go Metcalf. And I think Olave's probably chance, and I have no clue. I have no medical background, but we have seen this, I think, twice. I said at the top of the show, I think we've seen 2 players return the week after of a concussion. And one was a Thursday to Sunday, and I believe the other one was a Sunday to Monday. I am not confident that Olave makes it here this week. But if you have somebody that you're willing to drop Sunday morning, I think it's worth exploring. But then it goes to the point, like, who are we dropping him for? And is that person start over Metcalf? And then we don't.
Curtis Samuel or somebody like that should be out there.
A.T. Perry.
Bold.
A.T. Perry is going to be what Mario thinks Pickens is. Well, if it's for this week, I hope so. I see you have no tight end duds, so let me just roll with 2 of mine that are very much gimme as duds. McBride worries me. Versus Pittsburgh's been good defense, but it's not really the defense that worries me. It's more about the injury. Yeah. Both of these are very. Goddard scares me because he's going against San Francisco, coming back if he does make it back this week, coming off the injury. So they're both dealing with their separate injuries, but they don't have good matchups for a tight end. So both these teams give up more through the air on the outside than over the middle. I want to avoid these guys, but understand if you can't. They're just duds. They're not, for me, we're not calling them necessarily sits. Robbie, did you have a DFS lineup? Because I do not.
I just folded off because we're getting close to game time here. You want me to pull it back up?
Just post a picture of it we'll post a picture on Twitter.
We'll both do it.
Cool.
We'll make Mario make one.
Yeah, that's fair. I could do that before Sunday.
Let's do that.
All right. We'll have some DFS lineups before the Sunday games. Enjoy the game tonight. We'll be back Sunday. I don't know who is on Sunday. I assume myself and somebody. Maybe you. I don't know.
I'm assuming
we'll be back at noon. If you guys have any last minute questions on start sit, we'll be at noon Eastern time answering those. And then after that, we're back Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So Brian's over here asking who's plays today. Cowboys and Seahawks. For myself, for Robbie, Bobby, we love you guys. Let me find this outro. Peace. Thank you for watching our episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
If you aren't already following us on Twitter, check us out at DadBodFS.
We'll be posting all of our best clips and videos to all of our social media. TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube. You can find us on there at DadBod Fantasy Squad.
Lastly, if you'd rather just listen, we make sure we post our audio of each episode on all the major streaming platforms. Stick with us all season long so together we can count our trophies and not our calories.